Online learning doesn't have to be about daily schoolwork. In an effort to guide students toward critical thinking and tapping into their creativity, our next guests are hosting online courses to introduce students to a possible future career in architecture or design. With us today are the co-founders of the Community Academy for Architecture and Design, Green-Abdullah and Tiffany Green-Abdullah. Thank you guys so much for being with us this afternoon. I am fascinated by the fact that you are going to take what has become your passion and your vocation and really teach it to other young people. Why do you think this is such a architecture, design, a good vehicle for youngsters?
Yeah. Thanks again for having us. Really a pleasure of ours. I just really look at architecture in my own life's experience as something that really transformed my opportunities as a young Black male in growing up in the city of Detroit, Michigan. My grandmother told me I would be an architect, but I never had the access to it, right? In fact, she mentioned that I would be an architect when I was 2 years old or 2 or 3 years old. Have a fully accredited master's degree in architecture from the University of Detroit Mercy. And that's my grandmother's wish upon me coming true, right? From an early age of 2. But again, I didn't have the access, even though I've always answered that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be an architectural engineer. I never had access to it, not a neighbor, not a friend of the family or anything. So I really want to afford the opportunity to others that I find in a similar condition as I found as a child.
And Tiffany, I want to bring you into the conversation because you are an extraordinary teacher and you guys are partners in this endeavor. As an educator, why is this vehicle that your husband apparently does have in his blood from an early age, why is this vehicle so good when it comes to being able to teach children, youngsters, help them tap into their creativity and I just really just sort of cultivate in them a respect and love for learning?
Right. Well, when we first met and we started doing his workshops here in the Atlanta area, it was apparent, like you said, it tapped into the kids' creativity. And unfortunately, the school system, largely across America, in terms of like what we call pedagogy, how we teach, is very much rooted in memorization, right? Worksheets, very linear thinking. And many of, I'm not gonna say our children, just children, period, they come out of the womb creative. And a lot of times schooling, the practice of going to school and the way schools are centered right now, really take creativity off the table, right? But what I found with the practices that we've done with children in terms of the youth architectural workshop, as well as my work in higher ed, is that we have to bring in more experiential learning, more hands-on learning. And that's the thing that really inspired these kids to say, there's not a right answer here. You're gonna make something out of your own imagination and just do it, and a lot of times kids, especially the older kids that we work with, they have a lot of trepidation because they've been taught that everything has to be right. There's one way to do things, but we know as adults in the world of work that there's multiple ways of doing things. So that's what we try to focus on, is really empowering the students to be creative, and then also empowering the parents. That's a big part of what we do is also teaching parents how to be creative and allow their children to be creative.
Right. So talk to me about the specific classes that you're offering online.
So just in general, TCAAD offers 3 kind of areas. So architecture, engineering, and creative media. And it's done in a way where it's think of it as a vehicle of project-based learning, right? And we use some of the National Architectural Accreditation Board regulations as it relates to accredited colleges of architecture. So we take about 12 or 13 of those 30 points, and we infuse that into the curriculum for the children, right, on the K-12 level. And it's things like collaboration, critical thinking, design thinking, drawings, and things like that, that translates well into any career path, right? We see it as a perfect conduit to help to develop the next generation of critical design thinkers and problem solvers. And being it's project-based learning, even online, they're equipped with the tools and boxes that will really allow them to be hands-on in their developing and ideating. And we make sure that inside this project-based learning vehicle, we also have the resources to actually deliver the state standards. Here in Georgia specifically, we're doing Georgia Standards of Excellence.
So we're starting to offer, I think we have our first one tomorrow, but we're starting to offer through the summer some online seminars and workshops, and they'll vary week to week, so that parents have some kind of option for their children, because summer camps, physical summer camps are not really an option. So they'll change, and we'll do some experience architectural workshops. I mean, we've done things with, teaching kids how to how architects have that like nice, neat handwriting. So doing some little workshops on like how to write, because that's a skill that children are losing.
Exactly.
Right? Because they're using technology all the time, so they need to know how to handwrite.
I could use that class.
Yes. I mean, I always love when he writes things out. It's like so perfect, and my stuff is all scribbly and quick. So some experience, how to experience architecture, and then we'll do some simple workshops around modeling with things that parents would have around the house. So when they sign up, we'll be like, make sure you have toothpicks, balloons, marshmallows. I mean, things we try to find very simple things that you have around the house. Yeah, and then they would have those ready for that workshop.
And what's your age range?
For our workshops, I mean, our ages have ranged from 5 to 18. And, and a lot of times, like I said, the parents get very, very involved in our workshops.
We encourage that.
And we definitely encourage it. We don't market it as child-parent workshops, but that's what they wind up becoming, because we're also sort of on the side kind of teaching the parents how to do these things at home and how to encourage that sort of creativity in their children, and that it's okay, and that this is what they're really going to need in their lives, especially right now.
And I guess it whets that appetite for learning. I mean, it's been a long time since I was a kid, but I do remember that excitement of being introduced to something and figuring out you could do something, even if it was not what you ended up doing with your life. It just sort of got you on the road to being excited about learning.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We did a workshop with the Children's Museum in February, and it was a young lady who was in the workshop. I think she was like 10 or 11. She was there with her mother and her grandmother, and she was very like, here they go again, dragging me into something, and just had this, really down disposition
at the
beginning. Yes. Right. But after the modeling workshop, she won the prize from Tarek, and the grandmother reached out to us through our Instagram and said, she was so excited when she left, and that she wished that the school was in, I think they were out of Alabama, that she wished the school was there. And I just encouraged the grandmother to just find things that she's interested in and help her see it through. That's it. That's really what we're saying, is just find something the kid likes. You can teach them everything through anything.
Yes, you know what? It is so true. And I grew up in a small town in Texas, and you have more power as a parent than you think in terms of introducing your children to things. So speaking of children, you have 3 kids of your own, and I understand that they are budding architects or interested in that way, or
well, I would say it this way. We all hear that we'll work at least 1 year for the architecture firm, and after that they can do whatever they want.
But yeah, they have a pinky swear that they're all going to architecture school. I mean, they all have various interests, you know, from technology and gaming to marine biology, you know, to space. And I'm like, listen, y'all can do all of that with an architecture degree.
Absolutely.
You can design space stations, you can design marine biology, whatever. You can still do what you want to do with your various interests, but this is a family business. And we really try to talk to them a lot about generational wealth, and that if they do something totally left of the family, they're at zero. They're starting at zero, right? You know what I'm saying?
But that means if they choose that, they are really into it and are really willing to work at it.
They got to state their case very strongly.
And before I let you go, I also want to just let people know, and because I mentioned it when I introduced you, that you're raising funds for the Community Academy for Architecture and Design.
Yes.
So you're not just doing this as a business, you know, for your own family's support. You are also really focusing on helping other people to start towards that generational wealth.
Absolutely. You know, even though the online class is a modest gesture of financial support of $10, but overall, we have a nationally recognized K-12 curriculum. The American Architectural Foundation said it's a program worth national distinction. And we were a finalist of the XQ Super Schools program, if you're familiar with that. Ended up being a $100 million competition founded by Rosalind Powell Jobs, Steve Jobs' widow. And they raised, you know, quite a bit of financial support for 10 schools. But I believe it ended up being about 900 or so, or close to 1,000 entries, if not more. And we were within the final 50 nationally. So, and that's for our high school model. So ultimately, we have a larger vision to do a national approach to this. And if there was one thing I could leave with everyone, it's that the notion that if we can, as a nation, create a generation of critical design thinkers and problem solvers for communities that are in dire need for creative solutions to the problems that they see, we will be better off.
Definitely. And our website, so we have the classes. People can link to that through the tab online learning on our website, TCAAD.org. And we also have a donate button there where they can link and they can make a contribution one time or monthly. You know, all of it helps because we've been essentially funding TCAAD through our own work, through our own pockets over the last 10 years. And so, yeah, we hope to you know, make it a success and replicate possibly, you know, in future years once we get the first school open. But we're also looking at developing a virtual academy to try to take our model into a virtual space. I don't want to say digital because kids got enough digital. They need to really have some kind of learning model that allows for hands-on learning, but that's, you know, done in a virtual space. So I'm looking and talking to people about that now.
Tarek and Tiffany Green-Abdullah, it's so nice to talk with you guys again.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you. And I suspect that we will be hearing from you again.
Absolutely.
All right.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sandra Bookman, and Here and Now. We'll be right back.